Hey guys, so this is a part 2 to a video I did 7 months ago where I rated people's unpopular opinions. Since then I've gathered a few more and thought it was time to go in again. The way it works is that I read an unpopular opinion that someone sends me or that I hear, and I rate and review that opinion. So I'm going to start with some that I got in the comment section of the first video. First one being from... and it says, Thor Love and Thunder is an okay movie, it isn't trash, it is just okay. Right, so first of all, I will just say that I disagree. I despise this movie, but that isn't to say it's without merit. There's some great aspects of the film, namely Christian Bale as Gore. The character itself sucks balls and not adapted well in any fashion, but the acting is another level compared to the rest of the film. But YTT's style is at its worst here. The comedy is indescribably void, the CGI is half-baked, the jumping quality from Ragnarok is lethal, and they took a perfect cast and gave them an irredeemable script. Taika even giving his own self-insert side character far too much screen time. I have so many thoughts on this film, and about 95% of them are negative, so I'm going to give this opinion a 4 out of 10. I disagree with it, but I can see why people like it slightly more than myself. That being said, that film is doo-doo for real. Next opinion we have is from a friend of mine, Simsy, and he says that High School Musical 2 goes in excessively, and yeah, he's absolutely right. High School Musical 2 fucks so hard, the music just goes, the setting and location is gorgeous, the breakup scene between Troy and Gabriella still unironically makes me cry as a grown man. It's dumb, it's corny, it's goated. I'm gonna do a video on it one day, maybe the whole trilogy, because it's special to me in my heart. 10 out of 10 opinion, yeah. Next we got one from Hikaru Senpai, yeah, sure, we'll go with that. Who says that Tron Legacy is a 10 out of 10 film, I will not elaborate, which is a 6 out of 10 opinion, I will not elaborate. Then we have Sam K, who has 2 here. One is that they think Interstellar is Nolan's worst film and The Prestige is his best. So I'm going to give this an overall score of 5 out of 10 because I don't think Interstellar is Nolan's worst, I think it's simultaneously overhated and overrated. But despite that, Nolan has made worse films in my opinion. I think The Dark Knight Rises, Tenet and Dunkirk are slightly worse movies. However, I agree that The Prestige is his best movie and most underrated by far. It's such a fantastic film that tells a convoluted story of twists and turns and never becomes too complicated to understand. It's masterful. Sam K also says that The Wolf of Wall Street is a 6, and though I can't speak to how it made them feel, I disagree. It's a brilliant time to me and Scorsese at his most insane, so that gets a 4 out of 10 from me, mostly because I can't really tell someone how they feel about a film, or even how they should feel, and plus a 6 out of 10 is still a positive score. Going on, we have our most recent comment, which is from Alexandra, who says that Wes Anderson is overrated. Now honestly, I don't think this is really an unpopular opinion. He seems to be getting more hate and just less adoration as the years go by, which is natural because as the more people discover, the ratio of people who like him will even out. But I think he's a fantastic director with a truly unique style that cannot be replicated without it seeming like a ripoff, and that's massively special these days, where a lot of directors blend together with no real sense of style or personalization. I think overall it's a 3 out of 10 opinion. It is ultimately a taste thing since you will either love Anderson or not since his style is so distinct and pronounced, but I personally love it. And finally we have this explosion of opinions from Mr. Goodcat, which I just simply cannot respond to. It's way too much to go through, but I will just say this. This is a truly special comment and it has some genuinely hot takes and unpopular opinions that I couldn't beat out of some people, so I'm going to give this whole comment a 10 out of 10 for the pure heat and effort. Okay, so that's it for last video's comment section. Straight to the ones people have sent for this video. Most of these are going to be from this Cinemates Discord server I'm a part of, so definitely come join. It's a great place to talk movies with good people. That being said, let's talk about some of their brain dead takes. First, we got one from my best buddies, Lloyd. Lloyd usually has exquisite taste, however we have some real heat with his infamous Matrix opinion, so I'm just going to show you his Letterboxd review for it. Now listen, I disagree massively, of course, because I have a brain, but also I love this opinion. I genuinely think it is so blasphemous that I gotta respect the audacity of it. Genuinely a 10 out of 10 opinion, but I couldn't disagree more. Excellent stuff. Next we got David, who said this. Now, I'm not going to read you the whole message, so I'll leave it on the screen while I'm talking to you so you can pause and read it for yourself, but the general gist is that Dear Evan Hansen is an amazing film. So I have very little to say on this because I actually haven't seen this film, I've never had an interest in it, but what I find odd about this one is that in sending me this, I also found the other person on this planet who agrees with him, which I think is the first time I've ever seen anybody defend this film, let alone two. So I suppose in the same vein as the Matrix take, for the sheer boldness, I gotta give it at least a 6 out of 10. Not higher because the film doesn't have the status that the Matrix has, obviously, they're audacious for opposite reasons. Next up we've got my dear friend Devon, who says horror movies with lots of practical effects and monsters etc. are more artsy than most art house movies. Art house is just a fancy way of saying college student film channel movie. And yeah. Absolutely. Art house is defined as being made for artistic and experimental purposes, but in reality this often does not massively attach itself to films that are being artistic and experimental. Films like The Thing or The Fly. Sci-fi and horror are massively artistic and experimental but will never be called art house because that term is typically reserved for independent, niche, and yes, commonly pretentious films that aren't as artsy as people claim they are. It's a good and solid opinion, 8 out of 10, not a 9 or a 10 because it is a broad and more nuanced subject than this one sentence or so can fully explain. Next we have this mess of an opinion, and no, just no, 0 out of 10. However, this same person redeemed themselves with this take, which is beautiful and I love it. I spoke about The Last Jedi recently in my rant about Star Wars video, but I'll just say this. Though I don't agree with this opinion, I absolutely respect it and can definitely see why. I think more people should think this way or at least have a positive attitude towards it as a film. It's quite brilliant, so 8 out of 10 for this one. Next we have this one from my friend Sam, who thinks Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a shit film, and I just cannot get on board with it. I don't absolutely love this film, but I do definitely think it's worthy of praise. It has a lot of troubles and weird ethics, but that final act is undeniably fun. Margot Robbie is so charismatic, and this film really is a symbol of Tarantino's love, which I can definitely appreciate. As someone who is very 50-50 on the idea of Quentin Tarantino, I can say that this is one of his better films in my opinion. It isn't trying to be crazy or action-packed, he switched it up and I appreciate that. So I'm going to give this opinion a stern 4 out of 10. I can see why it wouldn't work for some, but I just like it, I don't know. And that's it for those, so lastly, I'm just going to spit some of my unpopular opinions that I formed since the last video at you before wrapping up. Okay, so Ari Aster is one of the most overrated contemporary directors, especially within horror. However, I will say that I love that he's just creating whatever movies he wants, and I respect that, but Brandon Cronenberg is a more exciting prospect in my opinion and deserves the love just as much. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau aren't ruining Star Wars or The Mandalorian. Star Wars fans are just dumb. Yes, I don't necessarily love where the show is going nor the direction of the whole stupid Mandoverse thing, but none of their Star Wars shows are as bad as people are saying. Given Knock at the Cabin, I no longer think that M. Night Shyamalan is just one of the most underrated or overhated directors of all time. I simply think he's one of the greatest of all time. Video game adaptations aren't in general shitty anymore, the stigma should be gone. We have enough that is truly amazing that the opinion that they're a shite idea is dumb. Fast and Furious shouldn't stop, these movies should get crazier and go on for as long as it takes to get to aliens and dinosaurs. Maybe not unpopular, I don't know, but I think that now with the addition of Scream 6, Scream is the greatest horror franchise of all time and I don't think it's even close. And lastly, though Jenna Ortega is brilliant, Mia Goth is a far better modern day Scream queen in almost every facet. The fandom surrounding Ortega is great and beautiful, but I don't think she's been nearly as spectacular in anything as Goth. And there we have it, round 2 of rating your unpopular opinions. I love doing these and plan to do more in the future, so leave your unpopular opinions in the comments below for a possible future installment. And with that said, what did you think about these opinions? What would you rate them? Mine included. What did you think of this video? I read every single comment and reply to as many as possible, and whether it's a movie you hold an unpopular opinion about or not. As always, keep watching movies.